Hello and welcome to CIPD Bitesize. In this video, we're going to be focusing on AC3.1 from the 5001 Organizational Performance and Culture in Practice unit. Now, this is a scenario-based unit, so you must address the scenario when answering the question. And it's quite a lengthy scenario, so we're going to do a couple of pauses so that you can actually read the scenario if you're not working through it systematically or you're coming back to it. But scenario, Calmere House has been purchased by Chaffinch Group. I'm going to pause three, and I'll do a count on 3, 2, 1. Pause, read it, make sure that you're up to speed. Right, 1, 2, 3. Pause, and then we've got part 2. So we'll do another one, which is 1, 2, 3. Pause. Bosh. Now, you should be fully up to speed with your scenario, and you have the following question. Discuss how the people manager, recruitment advisor, and employees relations case advisor could support in the retention of the employee life cycle. So if I was approaching this question, you're discussing how they could support in the retention stage. Firstly, read the scenario. You'll hear this from me a lot in this particular unit, but make sure you've got the scenario locked in the brain there, because there is clues within the scenarios to what you need to do in terms of in the retention phase. There's clues there. Now, what you should also do is pull up an employee life cycle, pull up ways in which you can retain staff, pull up some stats and data. It's not what I think that CIPD are looking for, is what I think plus evidence to back up my thinking. That's what you need to be thinking. You need evidence show. I think evidence shows. You need evidence shows, and that's how you build it out from there. So if we were to put this into an answer plan, the verb is discuss. The question is 3.1. The scenario required is yes. The word count is 379.16 words, or 380 words, because you have 4,550 words to answer all 12 questions. This is question 10, 380 words per question. How I would break this into action points. This is an interesting one. So discuss how people could support the retention stage of the employee life cycle. So discuss is, for me, more than one suggestion. So I would put discuss, if I'm discussing how they could do it, I would discuss how a people manager or a recruitment advisor could support, for an example, 1 with some stats, with some data and a reference in the citation, referring to an employee life cycle matrix. I would then give another one because I'm discussing it. I'm giving them options, because when you discuss something, you're open to options and things like that. You're not just going, it's this. Because that's not a discussion, that's just statement. So that's explaining something. So discuss, I would give example 1, example 2 of the retention stage, the employee life cycle, referencing it to the strategy, which is really clear in terms of what they expect. Now, there's an example of one filled out, and as always, we've got some recommended reading material, CIPD fact sheet, CIPD fact sheet, CIPD fact sheet, because CIPD loves CIPD when it comes to these questions. So recruitment process. If we're talking about how they could support the retention stage, understanding the recruitment process, learning and development. Does that improve if you're retaining? What could people do to retain talent? What opportunities? Employee turnover and retention fact sheet. Again, that's pretty much self-explanatory, but some recommended reading so you can come up with suggestions. But I will say it again, and I think I've said it 1,000 times in this video, must connect to the information you've got in the scenario from Calmere House and Chaffinch Group. Connect it to what you know. Show that you have read what they've got there. Okay, now, as always, we give you a bit of a fictitious scenario to try and help you understand the question a little bit better and try and build out your answer. And for this particular question, we've turned you into a sunflower with a HR petal. But just as a plant progresses through stages from a seed to a flower to a wilt, employee move through stages from the recruitment to development to separation. Okay, so I'm just going to, this scenario is just a quick sort of view on the employee life cycle. In your head, whilst I read through this, or explain this, just think about what retention stage. So if you think plan a potential new life, form, promise, and employees a potential new hire with skills potential to contribute to the company. So in the seed, identifying the right talent, attracting candidates. nurturing, onboarding, orientation, setting the foundations to growth. Like, how many people leave because what they've been told at the start isn't what they thought? How people leave due to inefficient onboarding. Maybe you need to look at that in terms of how you address the retention. Then you've got growth, so the development, the plant, the nurturing, the sunlight, the water, the nutrients to thrive. Needs analysis, training, communication, transparency, providing sunlight and water, offering training programs, mentoring, coaching, enriching the soil, providing performance management, salary opportunities for growth. And then within your retention stage, you've got the end of its life cycle. It leaves it with us. So an employee leaves a company, either voluntary or involuntary, harvesting the seeds, exit interviews, gathering feedback for improvement, preparing the soil for next planting, outplacements, severance packages, legal compliance. The purpose of this story is you've got to understand that every stage has an interconnection. So whilst you're discussing how they could support the retention stage of the employee life cycle, all elements feed in. So when we talk about the recruitment, what is effective onboarding going to impact the retention phase? When we talk about development, is opportunities for growth, promotion, training going to improve the retention phase? When we talk about separation, is exit interviews, understanding why people are leaving and what people have got issues with, going to improve the retention phase? All information can be used. It's just, what data do you have to then prove what you think improves retention? That's the critical element of this question. Absolutely best of luck, and we'll catch you on that. Take care.